And we live. Happy Wednesday and welcome to another Everybody Can't Go Convo. I know you guys see that you like, what's going on? What is up this week? Yes, we are live in the Everybody Can't Go studio. Okay, so today I have with me live Miss Aisha Moore. I know that you probably remember Aisha from the very beginning, episodes back about a year ago, where she came on to talk to us about self-care. So today I have Aisha back with goodies for you guys. Okay. So we are going to drop a link for you guys so that you can support. I am super excited. And we are going to be talking about today her book that is just recently published, Getting Serious About Self-Care. Y'all know this is a self-care guru, and she's written a whole book about self-care for you guys. And for me, y'all know I've been pre-ordering my copy. What about y'all? So thank you for coming on with us today, Aisha. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be back.
Awesome. So, of course, I got me some little interview questions. And I'm just so excited. I had to actually write this down so that I could stay focused.
Okay.
Y'all know me and my flight attendant. I be all over the place, and y'all know I love supporting all of my people that can go. So I'm like, okay, let me write this down. Let me make sure that I have my stuff together. So I'm not just all over the place like I am right now. Just all over the place. Because I am so geeked about this release. And I cannot wait to get my hands on the hard copy of the book. Ebook copy is already ready to go, where we were able to download that joint instantly upon the virtual release. And it's also available for you guys on Amazon. That link will be in the show notes below. So tell me about what inspired you to write Getting Serious About Self-Care, and then how does it challenge common misconception about what self-care truly means?
Yeah, so this whole journey started back in 2014. I was going to say 2024. No, 2014. And it really comes from my experience of being overwhelmed, overworked, and overcommitted. So that's really where this comes from, my own journey. And because that journey was so hard for me, if I didn't discover self-care and get serious about self-care, I would have lost my job because I would have been out of short-term disability. That would have made me financially unstable. And the last thing that you need when you're so stressed and burned out to the point that you have to take medical leave is to not have the money. Okay? Because I need money for Ubers to get me back and forth to the doctor. I needed money for lots of different things, prescription copays, and if you lose your insurance, that kind of thing. So I didn't want that to happen to anybody else. So that's really why I wrote the book. So that's the first part of your question. The second part of your question is about challenging this idea of what self-care is and common misconceptions. And so some of those include that it's just frivolous. Mm-hmm. Right. So I want to quote Audre Lorde. I'm probably about to misquote her, but she says self-care is not self-indulgence. It is self-care is not an act of self-indulgence. It is an act of self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare. That doesn't sound frivolous to me. It doesn't sound for play to me. Right? So self-preservation and acts of political warfare, that sounds very serious. So I think when you take that approach as opposed to the manicure, massage route that we always think of, and those are definitely self-care. I'm not saying that they're not, but it's so much more than that. And so that is one of the biggest misconceptions, that it is just for frivolous, it's just for play, and it's not anything that is actually doing anything for you, medically. Self-care to me is this a form of something that can heal. It's a healing modality. That's what I'm trying to say. It's a healing modality, and it's not just some cutesy little thing.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. And I'm glad you kind of took us through how there can be a cascading effect of not having self-care in our routine. Because that is one of the, like you said, if you got to take out on medical leave, if you even if you do have the short-term disability, all of those things, or long-term disability, either way, you are still looking at a pay cut during that time. And many times, I forgot what the stat is, 80-90%, whatever it is, it's like a really high percentage of people that do still live check to check. That's not even taken into consideration when you're thinking about self-care. One, are you even financially prepared to not do your self-care? It's one of those things where if you're worried about spending the money to do self-care, you're then going to pay for it even more on the back end by not pretty much investing in yourself up front so that you're able to stay out of the hospital, stay off of short-term disability, stay off of long-term disability, not have some of the additional bills and things that can come along with that, and or pile up while you're still trying to mentally get yourself together. And right now, we're still just talking about the mental health and emotional health portion of it. Some of these things, if you just leave it, there come physical ailments with that too. So now you're talking about a whole nother layer of things that can be prevented if you are caring for yourself on a daily basis. Y'all know, I think I just told y'all a couple episodes ago. I said self-care every day. Where do y'all think it came from? Okay.
And so you just mentioned some of the costs, but it's not even about like the medical costs. One of the costs for me was like making mistakes. So I travel for work. We have to book hotels, and I'd be going so fast that I wouldn't realize I was booking non-refundable hotels. And then I would be too sick to go on the travel, and then I would need to cancel the hotel and be like, oh snap, I did a non-refundable one. I have to eat that because my job told me to get refundable. Mm-hmm. And that happened many times because I was too busy, too frazzled, all of that, and then I wouldn't be able to travel. And so I ended up in debt over making mistakes because I was burning out.
Okay. And I hadn't really considered that portion of it, that, you know, once we are working toward that state, you do forget a lot. You do start to make mistakes. That's actually one of the things that causes me to be like, oh, nope, time out. We about to pause, y'all. We about to pause. Like, if I'm trying to concentrate or I make several mistakes in a row, or it's like I forget something that I know, and I'm like, I know we all have that moment when we walk into a room and it's like, wait, what did I walk in here for? Mm-hmm. But once I have that moment multiple times, I'm like, okay, time out. Yep, let's rewind this thing. And I need to, like, I need some wusa. I need some zen. I need some type of self-care. And I make sure that it's like, okay, self be like, and we have to, like, okay, I know that I'm supposed to do such and such tonight, but I'm not going to do that thing that I was supposed to do, because if it's some work, if I'm at that state, like you said, I could be making mistakes, effing it up anyway, where I'm going to have to go back and redo the work that I am just so intent on doing tonight, when it's like, no, tonight I need to stop. I need to pause, be mindful, and I need to take a break. I need to get my fuzzy blanket. I need to get on my favorite spot on the couch. I'm going to have my cup of hot cocoa, maybe with some extra things in it. But I need to have my moment of relaxation, of zen. I'm going to choose to watch a movie that I'm watching for the 10,000th time, but it's a movie that makes me happy. I ain't gonna tell y'all which movie it is because no free promos around here, but
I was about to give a free give a free promo. I was like, well, you want to know what I put in my hot chocolate? I refrain from if advertising that company, little Irish thing.
Yeah, right. Because if you do want to hit me up for sponsorship, we will do ads around here, just not free ones, okay? But yeah, like making sure that I take that time and just like, quote unquote, take the evening off so that I can rest, relax, reset, and that same thing is going to be there tomorrow, instead of using the time to double check what I was doing and basically end up redoing the entire task anyway, and just saving that for tomorrow. It will still be there tomorrow. And like, just And you taught me that. You taught me that. And also, shout out to D-Lo. I think that was episode 17, something like that. Y'all scroll back in the archives. When he would ask all the time, what are you going to do today for self-care? Like that has become like an inner question for me, and all of the things and all of the methods that you've taught over wow, it's been years. It has been years. It has become second nature, and I'm able to kind of just get straight to it when I'm like, oh my goodness, I am so wait a minute, I have something for that. Somebody has taught me things about that. So thank you. You are so appreciated.
You are, and shout out to our main man, Derek Lomax.
Hey, shout out to D-Lo. Okay. So, moving on with our interview questions here. Okay, so many people struggle with prioritizing self-care due to the busy schedules and responsibilities. So, what are some practical strategies from your book that help people to make self-care a non-negotiable part of their lives?
So, one of the things so the book is set up into two parts. And the second part, I go over my care framework. So, clarity, awareness, reframe, and embrace. And so in the awareness step, I have you do a stress audit or a time audit where you look at your day. You don't look at your day. You get a piece of paper, because that's the other thing. People be doing stuff in their head. No, you get a piece of paper and you write the time you wake up. And then from the time you wake up, you write down like hour by hour everything that you were doing. All right. So you got 3 columns. You've got the time, what took place during that time, and then you need to evaluate it. And so I have you evaluate it in terms of, was this a deposit or was this a withdrawal? And so that's the positive energy, joy, clarity, sanity, or was it a withdrawal of those things? And so it's quiz time, Jessica. So when you think about deposits and withdrawals, that's usually in terms of a bank account. So we're talking about your life bank account or your wellness bank account kind of thing, right? So how much is being deposited and withdrawn from your health bank account? So when you overdraw a regular bank account, when you have more withdrawals than deposits in a regular bank account, what happens?
You get that minus sign, it turn red, you start getting alerts, text messages be going off, the app be going off.
Right.
And that card gonna get cut off too.
Right. You're overdrawn, you're going bankrupt, and it comes with fees, right? So that's, like you said, those minus signs, those are the fees. Well, what are the fees in terms of our health bank account? Stress, irritability, stomach aches, all of that, right? So that's what we're trying to avoid. So one way that I help people think about making it non-negotiable is like, well, the alternative are all of these negative things on your body. And so I just talked about a few of those things. Then your relationships, you're irritable, you're snapping on people, you're overcommitting yourself, so you're trying to come through for people and you really can't come through to the best of your ability, all of that. So that's one thing to really look at that day and figure out where is your health bank account? Where's your self-care bank account at any given time? And then from there, work on making sure that you stay in the black. Make sure that your bank account is looking good and healthy, right? So you go through your day and say, okay, first thing is, what can I change? Because that's the first thing, because there's some things that you're in control of. There's a lot of bad habits we have, like, oh, I haven't been drinking water, or I have a bedtime, but I ignore it, or I answer, people's texts first thing in the morning, all those things. So like, what are the things that you realize that are stressful during your day that you can change? And you start there, and then you stop some of those habits and you replace them with new habits. Because that's where the time is. There's always something you can stop, so that way you can start something else. So that's number one. Number two, I don't pretend like people are not doing any self-care. Most people are not starting from zero. So look at what you're already doing and realize and name it and be like, that thing that I do, that walk I take around the block after that stressful meeting, That's self-care. Let me see how I can take that from a 10-minute walk to a 20-minute walk. So how can you increase the things that you're already doing? So I think to me that helps people like to see it on paper and to put it down on paper and then transfer that to whatever calendar system that you use, whether it's a paper calendar, Google Docs, that kind of thing. So put it on paper and then set a reminder for the time. So that way you don't you're not powering through doing something else and you like give away your self-care time. And that's would be my third thing. Don't give it away. So what happens is if you use maybe like an electronic calendar, like a Google calendar, right? So when you put stuff on there, like there's a bunch of colors and then you have white space. And that white space, there should be no white space. Because that white space should be filled with self-care time, tidying time. Like it should be filled with something. So that way you can tell people, and not just to tell them, like the reality is, I do not have time, this extra time to give to you. I've been giving away my self-care time. I've been giving away my recovery time. I've been giving away my, I just lost it. Yeah, I've been giving away that time. My decompression time. I was like, my head was like, it starts with a D, starts with a D. I've been giving away my decompressing time. Mm-hmm. We're always giving away. So that's the thing is we have to stop giving it away. And one of the ways to do it is to respect it. And often our meetings and all that stuff on our calendar, we respect those. And so if self-care has the same level of importance as meetings and other obligations and taking your kids here or there, it should be on the calendar just like everything else.
That makes a lot of sense. And I like the way that you pointed out having that white space on the calendar, because I'm not gonna lie, until you just now said, as soon as you talked about the digital calendar, I started thinking about what does my Google Calendar look like? And people will like walk past and see it. They see all these colors, all of these blocks. Sometimes things are stacked on top of each other. And I will add another meeting as long as that white space is available. Like that's the first thing I say. It's like, oh, hold on. Let me check my calendar and let you know what times I'm available. That doesn't mean that I'm truly available during those times, but because I haven't put my self-care on there, I'm like, oh, there's a white space. There is an open block of time that I can put something into it. I don't exactly put something into it as let me put down something that is for me. Mm-hmm. If I have an appointment that I'm keeping with someone else, or if I'm meeting up with friends, or if we're going for a nice brunch, I will drop that on the calendar and put, I am supposed to be at this restaurant, this time, this day, to hang out with these people. I kind of just do my self-care when, okay, I'm done doing everything else. Now let me take some time. And so that is definitely something that I'm going to implement, is making sure that I actually block that time commitment out and don't just make sure that it gets done if and when I have time. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go ahead and put that block onto my calendar. And I encourage you guys, of course, to do the same thing, because how many times do you take a look at your calendar and you're like, well, I can make time in here somewhere. Or we always say, I can fit it in. Hold on, let me see where I can fit you in. Do we really need to fit somebody in there? Do we need to fit them in? Do we?
Saying.
So, I love that. Okay, I'm out here convicted. Okay. Y'all know I'll be learning with y'all. All right, I'm going to have to rewind this one back so that I can come back and take more notes. Okay, so you talk about the difference between surface level self-care and deep transformative self-care. Could you like break down like what's the difference and why is it important to have like that surface level and then like that deep self-care?
So I think we didn't even define self-care, but so self-care.
Let's do that.
And so my definition is that it is a set of personal practice. I cannot speak today. Set of personal practices that improves our well-being physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, mentally, all of those things. And it's done on a daily basis. So that is my definition. And so you want to talk about surface level versus deeper. And the way I kind of frame it is is this self-care solving a problem or preventing a problem? So that should be the majority of your self-care, like solving or preventing problems. And then the rest of it is sort of just for like I was saying, decompressing, like bringing joy, that kind of thing, right? So when I say solving a problem, is like one of my things was that I was always late, so I was frazzled all the time. And so the problem I had to solve was, I wish I had my props. I didn't think about that. My props. Where are my keys? Because if I want to be on time, I cannot spend 20 minutes when I'm supposed to be getting out the door on time looking for my keys. So that was a problem I had to solve. Another problem I had to solve, I was not using Google Calendar effectively. Excuse me. I was not using Google Calendar effectively. I was using Post-it notes all over the place. So I didn't have a good organizational system. So I was always waking up in a panic at like 4 in the morning, like, oh, I forgot to do such and such. I forgot to send this email. I forgot to do these things because I was not that organized. So that's what self-care looked like for me, like was reducing overwhelm. So I really had to look at what problems I was having and making solutions for them. And for that period of my life where I first embarked on getting serious about self-care, that I had to look at what problems I was having that was causing the overwhelm. And then from there, I was like, okay, so let's do whatever we can to get ourselves less overwhelmed, but also do some positive things for ourselves. Like, let's do some yoga. Let's, make sure the dog gets walked every day, that kind of thing. So it was a lot of problem solving, preventing problems, and then just things that were like for everyday maintenance that every human should do, like eat well, sleep well, drink your water, all that kind of stuff, moisturize your situation. So, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. And, I tell y'all that, look, I am not perfect and don't have it all together. She mentioned those Post-it notes. Y'all know on my desk, I got 4 different colors of Post-its. And I have a stack of Post-it notes that are not yet finished. And one of the things that Aisha holds me accountable for is making sure that I clear out my little graveyard of Post-it notes. Because it's like, why are all those Post-its there? So I can remember to do the thing. The thing that I don't remember to do, check it off the Post-it note and throw it away.
Amen. That is a problem.
So that's one of those things where and she's been reminding me of this for a couple years, guys. So don't think that you're just gonna watch this episode, you're gonna click the link, you're gonna order the book, and in a week your life is gonna be changed. This is implementing these things slowly but surely over time, implementing them one at a time. You're not doing a total like overhaul of your life, and you're just gonna like as soon as you're done reading, you're like, I took a list of 172 things that I will change, and I'm doing all of them starting tomorrow. We talked about that overwhelm and having too many things to do. So what you're going to do is implement one, maybe, I like to stretch y'all. I'll give you up to 3. Up to 3. Don't try to do more than 3.
I'm good with that.
New things that you'll try to implement not that you're going to try, that you are going to implement. Don't try to like pick a list of 10 or whatever. If you do have a longer list of things that you would like to implement, that you would like to do differently or create new habits with, go ahead and make your list, but just choose your top 3. Really, I'd like for you to just start with 1. But if you a rock star, if you out here like, no, I'm freaking phenomenal, then okay, I'll let you have your 3. And matter of fact, go ahead and drop it down in the comments. Let us know, what is that 1 to 3 things that you will create new habits with, or ways that you will prioritize your self-care. And remember, this ain't just going to the mall, balling out because it's gonna feel good that day. Self-care is not a luxury. It doesn't have to be expensive. We told you guys that. I really got to look up that episode to see how long ago it was, but that was definitely one of the things that it stuck with me. because of course, I like the nice things. I like all the things. But you
we went shopping last Saturday. Full transparency.
But when you are getting your self-care regimen together, like, remember that this doesn't have to be an expensive thing. She mentioned going for that walk for an extra 10 minutes. We talked about curling up with your favorite book or with your favorite fuzzy socks with your hot cocoa and extra vittles. Like, make sure that while you are setting things in place, that one, you don't have to break the bank to do so, and two, make sure that you're doing these things one by one, or two by two, three by three, so that you're able to create new sustainable habits, that you're able to create a new discipline within yourself by consistently doing these things, so that you can yield those results over time. It's not just a one-time thing, and it's also not an overnight thing. So I don't want you to run out, try all this stuff all at once. When it's not sustainable, get discouraged. We're not just bringing you information. The information has to be applied to be successful. But I would also like for you to successfully apply the information in a way that is sustainable, so that you can remain consistent, so that you'll be able to get those tangible results, and get those results within your mind, your heart, your body, all of those things.
You're absolutely right. So to just add a little bit to what you were saying and our conversation about how you make it non-negotiable, also, like, break it down. So I remember, because again, I told you guys, I know you're already doing some self-care, or you're attempting to do some self-care. So at the time, at my place of employment, they had yoga in the office at noon on Mondays. So I would sign up, and you always had to sign up for like the whole 12 or 16 weeks or what it was, or whatever it was, like $10 a class. So I would pay my $120 and I would not go. I could see them down the hall from my desk, but I would not go because I was just too busy to go. So that would be sometimes would be the thing. Or I would not have brought my mat. So then I would like hope someone else had a mat, and if someone else didn't, I couldn't go. Or I would forget my gloves. Because again, I'm running to get out the door. So one of our first points was about that, like, slow down, and I didn't slow down. Like, instead of being like, okay, so I really want to do this yoga, and two of the reasons why I don't do it is because I'm not fully prepared. So let me make sure that on Sunday I prepare. But I didn't ever slow down to do that. So over and over and over, I would keep paying $120 and then not going. Paying $120 and not going. So when I got serious about self-care, then it was finally like, oh, so now that I've made a commitment to this, I've embraced this, like, that's the last part of my care framework, the E for embrace. Once I really embraced it, then I never had problems again with, like, not going, not bringing my clothes, not bringing my mat, because I was like, I'm serious about this. So if I can't walk away from my desk for this hour, then, like, I need a new job, number one. Or somebody, like, if whoever really needs me, somebody will come and find me. Because probably whoever needs me knows that, oh, she's probably at yoga and we have an emergency, so come and find me. But again, with that, like, in the 12-week process, would maybe somebody interrupt me once or twice, if at all? But I was like, oh, I can't get up from this desk because I don't know if I need me, And that's part of that is ego, because we be thinking we super important. We be thinking we so important that people can't live without us. Girl, bye. They're gonna find somebody else,
or figure it out.
Yeah,
or figure it out. And you mentioning that did make me think about what pre-COVID, when we were in office, how there were some people that they did not play. They came in with their workout bag. They would go to the gym. There were different classes throughout different times of the day, and miraculously, all of these emergencies, these emergent issues that come up at work, it was always emergent as long as that person was at their desk. Let it be 11 a.m. and it's, there's 11 a.m. core fit from 11 to 11:45. You walk past, such and such's desk, and you know what? They're probably down at the yoga fit, at the core fit class or whatever.
I'll wait till they come back.
all of a sudden it's not an emergency. So yeah, you're right. Like thinking about that in terms of ego, and also thinking about things in terms of, is the emergency really an emergency, or are people used to being able to access you with things that are not urgent? They are not, definitely not emergent, because if it was a real emergency, they could call 911. And or please believe, if it's a work emergency and it really had to be addressed, if you was on vacation, what the emergency gonna do? Either still be sitting there until you get back, or the person that you have as a delegate, your right hand or whomever, someone else will be able to handle whatever that situation is. They will be able to step in and provide the guidance, the paperwork, the file, the whatever. So there isn't anything that is truly that much of an emergency that you have to live with that, honestly, anxiety inducing feeling, that you just have to be there, or that you can't take that time to do a little something for yourself. And you guys know that you parents, you y'all know I was born an auntie, okay? So y'all know I be loving on the babies, on them kids, the good ones.
I've been auntie since I was 5, so the auntie podcast right here.
Boom. And shout out to Auntie outside, okay? But parents, I need you guys to like listen to this and internalize it. Internalize it. Told y'all about pouring from that empty cup. Now, the same thing goes for all of them emergencies at the crib. You know you tired when you get off work. You do still have to, do the duties and all of that stuff. But if you need to lock that bathroom door, lock the door. Turn your music up. Let them stick their fingers under the door. They'll be all right. Because as long as they can stick those fingers under the door, then that means ain't nobody hurting. Ain't nobody crying. And if they crying because they upset they can't get in that door, they'll be all right. That's why I said turn the music up. So making sure.
Because when they get quiet,
look,
that's when they didn't got in the flour put it all over your couch. When they got quiet. So as long as they hollering.
As long as they hollering, you know where they at. All right. But the reason why I say that is because being a parent, that's one of those things. Not being a parent, being a parent is one of those things that it's easy to deprioritize your self-care, because yourself is always worried about all of the little cells and all the little feet running around. But in order for you to be sure that your cup is filled so that you can show up the way that you really intend to for all of these little people, you do still need to prioritize that self-care. And remember that every emergency and every seemingly urgent thing, it's not always that urgent. Now, I'm not going to even go all the way into, what about, you know exactly what I mean. Don't play. Let's just cut straight to it. You know what I mean. There are, we know what a real emergency is. And whether you want to admit it or not, you know. But you have a choice. And you get to choose. If you will choose and allow for there to be no boundaries, or for the boundary to be that as long as somebody's screaming, it's an emergency, or as long as somebody is upset or saying something. Now I'm talking about grown folks, and not just at work. I'm talking about grown folks at your house, grown folks that be on your phone, them friends and them. Everybody can't go, but you can go with this self-care. And part of that's why I always come back to, when I talk to you guys about making sure that you have some self-care and that you have that prioritized, that you are also thinking about the boundaries that have to be set in place in order for you to exercise that self-care. We talked about those calendar chunks that you need to put up there. Oh, the bubble. But we talked about those blocks on your calendar for that self-care, setting that boundary with yourself, setting that boundary with your time. That's also setting and enforcing that boundary with other people to make sure that you are sticking to that time that you've allotted for yourself. And, it can be a family thing. When you are getting in your self-care, get the babies on board early. They need self-care too. It's like, if they are small and it's like, okay, it's mom and dad's time to insert whatever activity. No pun intended. But if it's you guys' time, then okay, let's, let everybody else in the house know okay, it's my self-care time. What are you gonna do for self-care? Ask them that. And everyone can have their task or their thing that they're going to be doing so that it can become a family activity of sorts. And I mean, shoot, if they know that's lame and somebody else don't want to do it, that's fine. They ain't got a self-care. I'm gonna self-care around here, all right? So, yeah, that's just a way that I'd like to encourage you guys to like communicate that to others around you and also encourage others around you to practice the same thing. Because y'all will be on the same page and overall, you happy, they happy, everybody's happy. Okay, so while we're talking about like more about implementation of self-care, what are some of the signs that someone is overdue for some serious self-care and how can they start the process of reclaiming that well-being other than like those boundaries and different things that I was just talking about?
Yes. So I talked about the time audit, and so that's one of the things. And that's the stuff that you may be aware of. So that's one thing. And secondly, I had mentioned how I used to lose my keys all the time, or I didn't know where they were. So that is a sign of what the psychologists call personal craziness. So I find the word craziness a little stigmatizing. So let's call it personal chaos, right? Mm-hmm. And so that is when all your important things are getting done, but other things are not getting done. Like, okay, so you're getting to work on time, but that morning was chaotic because your dishes were unwashed. You're looking at these baskets like, is that the clean one or is that the dirty one? I'm not sure, right? Stuff like that. You look over at your plant like, oh, I didn't water that plant. So that's sort of like the personal craziness stuff. And everybody has a little bit of that. So none of us are perfect. But when you have too much of that, then those are the precursors to burnout. So before you start to get the headaches and the eye twitching and the stomach aches, there's just a little bit of chaos in your life. And so this comes from the world of addictions. This is how they can tell people are maybe about to relapse. But it's also signs of chaos also could be used for stress and burnout as well. So the examples I just gave to you were personal chaos in your home, right? So then you could also have personal chaos at work. You can have personal chaos in your relationships. You can have personal chaos in your transportation behavior. So not knowing, like the main one, if y'all do nothing else, stop saying I'm gonna get gas in the morning. When that gas light comes on, unless you are in a place that you feel unsafe, get that gas tonight. Because in the morning, you didn't forgot about it and you was about to be on time, but now you're not because you have to go get the gas. And then that's going to make you later. Or you're like, okay, I'm already late. So I'm not going to go get the gas now. Maybe I can make it. And the whole time you're trying to make it, you're like, hope I make it, hope I make it. Mm-hmm. That's really, really stressful. That's really stressful. So if you do nothing else, you are going to, when you see the gas light, you're going to get the gas if it's safe. And or you're not even going to get to the gaslight level because you're going to pick a gas day or days. So then after that, I decided to just every Thursday I'll get gas no matter what. I actually got that from CJ because he said he would go get his wife's gas on Thursdays. So I just started going to get the gas on Thursday. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it the CJ way. I'm going to just get out because I was like, oh, he goes and just fill up her gas tank, like no matter what, like, right, okay, right. So on Thursdays, or if you drive a lot, Thursday and Saturday, Thursday and Sunday, whatever it is, the schedule for you, you can make a schedule to go to the gas station. You don't have to wait till you don't eat. You don't have to wait till you're under court tank. You just go to the gas station on a regular. It can be scheduled. A lot of things can be scheduled that we don't think can be scheduled. And that was, when I was still commuting, I would just go to the gas station every Thursday. So I never had to wonder, is there gas in the car? And me and the gaslight, we're no longer friends. I don't even know if the car that I have now, I don't even know if it has a gaslight. Because I've had that car a couple of years, and I don't think I've ever seen the gaslight because I just don't practice that behavior because I'm very, very serious about not having these unnecessary stressful experiences, right? So it's a lot of stress we cannot control, right? You cannot control, well, you kind of can't control this because I've worked with some people on this, but you can't control somebody going to come talking to you crazy. Can't control that, right? For the most part, right? Some people have to have to train them up in the way that they should go.
Okay.
But for the most part, you can't control that. You can't control like racist things happen to you. You can't control job loss. You can't control grief coming to you, right? All this kind of thing. But there is some of this stuff that we can control because it's the stuff that's like emptying our cup unnecessarily. So all the times that I was like, oh man, I hope I can make it to work. And then what would happen was I would make it to work in the gas, and then when I would leave work, I would still forget that I need to get gas. It's a mess.
And it's always the end of the most stressful day. You like, I just want to go home. I don't want to go to happy hour. I do not want to pass go. I don't want to collect $200. I want to go home. And it's like, dang, I got. And because all the way to work that morning, you were like, can I make it? Can I make it? You can't even ask yourself, can I make it? You know dang on well you ain't gonna make it.
Right, because you already pressed your luck on the way to work.
You made me feel.
And so it's stuff like that we can control. I don't remember what your question was. I'm welcome to the TED Talk. Welcome to the sermon. Go get your gas. Stop doing stuff like that. Like stuff that, stressing yourself out with unnecessary things. Pick up the clothes the night before. I still don't do that because that's not my ministry. But, whatever it is, like there's certain things that you might be willing to do. And so I was willing to go get gas every Thursday. That was a piece of my personal chaos. There we go. Back to personal chaos. A piece of my personal chaos that I realized I could stop. I could also stop my dog from destroying my house by making sure that I woke up early enough to walk him every morning. Stuff like that. Because then I would come home and I'd be like, this dude, well, he's bored. Don't you go stir crazy if nobody lets you out of the house for more than 5 minutes? You would go stir crazy too. So I had to be like, I should stop doing that. It's my fault, not his fault. So yeah, so just those are the things. So those are the signs when you're like, okay, it's real rough around here. Like I'm showing up to the community meeting. I am showing up to my podcast with Jessica. I'm killing it at work. But the rest of my life is chaos. The part that people cannot see is chaos. And so that is a sign that you're about to burn out because you haven't given yourself the bandwidth to be able to do both things. And so you're upset with yourself. You're feeling shame because you can't do both things. You're like, I don't know if that's the clean laundry or the dirty laundry. I'm just not sure. I'm going to smell it. I know there's one of you out there. That's where we want to be. So those are some of the non-traditional precursors to burnout. And then after those, then you end up with the headaches, the nausea, the stomach aches, the irritability, and then you become the person talking crazy to other people because you're irritated and all of that. So we're going to stay on track. 2 flight attendants over here. We're going to stay on track.
Okay, so that's really good that you brought up like all of those different ways to like implement self-care and to reduce that personal chaos, because as you were talking, I was actually like checklisting off a few things that I implemented one by one. I implemented these things and they became, from repetition, they have become habits for me. And one of the questions that I get from people like a lot, and people are always like, oh my gosh, like you do so much, you're so organized. And I'm like, am I? And sometimes it takes talking with someone else for me to realize, oh, right, I didn't always get my gas before it ran out. I didn't really realize that, shoot, right now, if it's a quarter tank, I'm going to get some gas because I know as soon as, and I didn't used to be like that. I used to ride that thing until it was like, oh, because I know I got 50 miles left on the Impala. I'm gonna ride till the wheels fall off. And with the getting my clothes ready the night before, I used to hate doing that. I used to hate that. Growing up, my mom would be like, oh, well, you're going to wear your uniform. So my mom don't even talk like that. But but I would just be like, I mean, why? I'm wearing the same thing every day. It's like, pick up the bottom, pick up the top, put it on. But that did become an issue as I got into adulthood, that it's like, well, dang, I didn't think about, well, today I'm going to work, but after work, I'm going to a networking event. Then I'm going to meet up with some friends for happy hour, and then I'm going to dinner. Those 4 items for that day that will have an influence on how do I need to dress? Will I be properly dressed for the rooms that I'm about to walk into, for the places that I'm going to show up? And just because it's Casual Friday, that may not mean if I'm coming to a networking event or if I am meeting a friend at a event of sorts or something like that. My Casual Friday jeans may not be a good way for me to show up for my friend with jeans on in whatever room it is that we're about to enter into together. So that's something that I need to take into consideration. Just because it's Casual Friday at work, it's not a casual business casual scene as I'm showing up to support someone else. So all of those things are part of what I sometimes need to be cognizant of. And then also, like, if you are a person that checks dress codes, if you're not, you just might not be getting invited to places because they know that you that one friend that you just gonna show up however, which there are ways to be a better friend. You could work on that. But making sure that that you're in alignment and not sticking out like a sore thumb in a potentially negative way, or not showing up as your best self with something as simple as you could have pre-prepared, pre-planned, and chosen proper attire for where you're going to show up at. And then also, while you're standing in that closet trying to figure out what to wear, you're making yourself later and later and later. You had 2 minutes to make that decision. Yep. Here you are 17 minutes later, still going through, and then you got to figure out what shoes you're gonna wear. Did you think about the weather? Did you consider, is it raining, is it snowing? Even if it is snowing, is it fresh snow or is it slush? Are you really about to be stomping through the slush in some Ugg boots, or do you need to go ahead and put on those waterproof boots? But does your outfit match the waterproof? All of those different things that you may or may not have to think about in something as simple as get dressed so you can leave the house. And so if that's an issue for you, make sure that you are setting aside that time ahead of time. I mean, are my nieces and nephews wilding out on you because you don't make time for them? Because you don't make time for play? We talked about, the pets and everything. That something too. That I mean, my cat wasn't tearing my house nope. My cat wasn't walking on no doggone counters, and they wasn't climbing up no doggone curtains. So there was a allotted amount of time where, yes, we had to do some kitten taming because you gonna learn how to act. Like,
I don't fool with them.
Oh, well, look,
they're possessed.
I love kitties. But
just say no to cats. That's self-care. No cats.
There was certain stuff that I'm like, oh no, we're gonna work on this. There is a certain time for play. So for your kids and for pets, make sure that you are making time, because you talking about behavioral issues. These behavioral issues are coming out for a reason. Are you making time for spending time, quality time? And I mean, do you got behavioral issues within your relationship? I'm talking about the romantic one. And sometimes, and with your close friends. Are there behavioral issues?
And that's my problem with cats. You slapped me in the face. I'm from South Central. I'm gonna jump you, little cat. I'm sorry. So I'm not no fool with them. I'm not for pet abuse, so I just don't fool with cats.
Agreed. Peter, don't be trying to come after us. But make sure that any of these look at your life and any of the places where just start with how you were able to walk out the door in the morning, so that you're able to continue controlling the spirit of your day. When you waking up, if the first thing you do is pick up that phone, turn that alarm off and put the phone back down. Get up and do what you need to do. Don't start scrolling first thing in the morning. Don't flick on that news. Make sure that the night before, as a part of your night routine, all the things that you need to have set so that you can have a relaxing Zen morning while you're getting ready to go. If you need to pre-make your morning motivation playlist, or there is a sermon or some music or something that you want to listen to, go ahead and have that already pre-selected so that after you hit that alarm, you can just press play. So you don't have to fumble around. You don't have to check the notifications. You don't have to answer back the text messages that came late last night or early before you woke up this morning or whatever, what have you. Or as soon as that alarm goes off, if you're joining an accountability call first thing in the morning, make sure that you have that link, you have that on your calendar. I get to hit the alarm if I sleep right up until it's time for an accountability call. I get to hit the alarm and then push one more button, and I'm right there in my meeting. I'm not going to look at text messages and do all this other stuff first. I just woke up. We only need positivity as soon as we wake up. So, are you creating some negative situations for yourself, within the first hour or two of your day based upon what you have or have not said as you are getting ready to get out the door? Get that key basket, get that key hook. Because, look, you talking about how you couldn't find your keys. That is one thing that'll piss me clean off in the morning so bad. I will be mad for the rest of the day if I can't find my keys. So that was one of those things that I'm like, oh yeah, no. Even if you don't have the basket or the key hooks or anything like that, find a place. In that same place, them keys are gonna be in that same spot every time. My purse is gonna be in that same spot every time. Because even if I'm switching purses, I'm not walking around the house at every place that I done left a purse so that I can figure out which one my wallet is in so that I can leave. Because I'm going to be upset the rest of the day. Or if you in such a rush that you just grab the bag that's right there and leave out the door, I ain't got time to be messing with them boys out there, and I ain't got no license. I know you can look me up and see who am I by giving you some of my personal information, but I don't want to find out whether or not you a good one or a bad one, and or what you gonna do that I'm out here driving with no license, or that I want some ice cream and I ain't got no lactate on deck. All of the things that I know that I need to walk out of this house, I am going to make sure that all of those things are gathered there together, so that in the event that I am rushing, that's one less thing that I have to be frazzled about. Because the other thing about when you start getting frazzled like that, you will walk past them keys 7 times because you put the magazine on top of them in the place where they're supposed to be. And it's like, I got to remember where I put the keys. They're not in the place that they're supposed to be. No, somebody just put their lunchbox on top of them. So all of those small things, remember, small wins, big distances, great distances. Those are a bunch of the little small things that if you take ownership over them ahead of time, you are able to have a far smoother experience each and every morning. Any zen that you create upon waking up, getting motivated, doing your morning routine, you are able to keep that zen, and you don't have to worry about having a 5 minute funk within the first 2, 3 hours of waking up. That changes the way that you're able to show up in the world, the way that you are able to show up for others, the way that you are able to perform, operate, produce, whatever. And so I'm sure we both would encourage you guys to do all of that. So,
can I add something to that?
Oh, please do.
So the reason why, so for me and the keys, right? You figure after like the first 5 times this happened, I would get the key basket, I would get the key hook, I would figure out some other way of doing something. When you're stressed and overwhelmed, your brain doesn't work right. You lose your creativity. You lose your ability to problem solve. So I could not really recognize this was a problem to be solved. It was just like, well, people lose their keys or people, or whatever. And it just didn't occur to me to get a hook or a basket. Or it didn't occur to me to reset my purse the night before and put my wallet, my keys, my swipey thing for the my badge for work, right? It just I was too busy, too frazzled to even think to do any of those behaviors. So this is why we say it has to be a non-negotiable. It has to happen every day, because if I was doing this reset every day, if one of my self-care rituals on my calendar was to reset my bag every day, then I have solved a problem and I have gained, I don't know how much time back into my day by having that. But I literally could not think of that as a solution because I was moving too fast. I always was like, as soon as I came home, drop the stuff. If I came to the front door, drop it somewhere. If I came to the back door, whatever, what have you. I just could never think of that. I could like that, and I'm sure somebody tried to intervene, but I couldn't hear them, or they couldn't intervene because I was too busy, so there was nobody to intervene. And so I just want to mention that some of these solutions seem like super obvious and mad easy, but when you are overwhelmed, you can't see them. It was like Jessica was just saying about the magazine on top, right? You can't see the solution because your brain isn't working and you lose your ability to be creative and problem solve.
That's really good. That's really good. So a way that you can maybe curb that a little bit, if you do feel like you're already overwhelmed to that point, I always talk to you guys about that self-assessment that you need to do and keep doing and do consistently. Ask somebody. Ask somebody close to you, like, hey, do you notice that I seem like all over the place? I seem frazzled. What at what times do I seem like, ask your spouse, ask your BFF. Like ask someone and be ready for being accepting and open to their honest answer, because it's not to cut you up, it's not any of that, but it's so that they can help you to point out what some of your blind spots are. It's called a blind spot for a reason. As she said, you may not be able to, while I'm telling you, hey, think about and notice some of these things, if you don't notice nothing, please ask somebody, because I know there's something. Even though I'm the one here telling you what you can do differently, I still have things that I'm like, yes. As I said earlier, I'm like, oh, I can implement something new. There is another place where I can improve. There's another place where I can habit stack, where I can do something different, do something new, where I can create a better situation for myself. So if you feel like you're just 100% perfect on that, you're not. Guarantee you weren't. So go ahead and ask somebody close to you or someone who knows you well enough that they will be able to help you uncover some of those blind spots so that you can go ahead and implement some of these things. And shoot, if you can't think of nothing yourself, drop that in the comments, because I would love to follow like what you do to one, find out what those blind spots are, and then what you would like to implement. Like, I love talking to you in the comments. And okay, so I have one more question as we close. If listeners could take away one powerful lesson from the book, what would you want it to be?
I would want it to be that stress happens every day, so self-care happens every day. Because here's the thing. What we tend to do is, like, you're very familiar with this. We set goals in these increments. Let's say in 90 days, I'm going to accomplish this thing, and then I'm going to go on a vacation. So a good example of this is that I'm sure January 1, 2020, a whole bunch of people were like, okay, I just need to get to spring break, and then I will take some time off. So I'm going to go until spring break. Well, you weren't going nowhere. I mean, some of y'all, I'm a public health professional, some of y'all, right? We were like, okay, so what we do is we decide that it is okay to be stressed for 90 days, because in 90 days from now, then I'll be able to do this thing. Well, what is happening to your body that whole time? Right? That whole time, your body's like, hello. I think about that Tony Braxton song, 7 Whole Days. So let's go through it. This is your body singing to you when you're stressed. 7 whole days and not a word from you. 7 whole nights and I'm just about through. Can't take it no more. I've had about enough of you. I'd rather be on my own. That's what your body is saying to you every day. Like every week, they're like, dang, no self-care. It's been 7 whole days since self-care, right? So even 7 days is a long time, because you're letting all those stressors build up, and your body's being affected, your mind's being affected, your relationships are being affected. And then we expect somehow this 1 week vacation or this whatever reward you're going to give yourself at the end of 90 days is going to solve the issue of you being stressed all the time. So stress happens every day. So self-care happens every day.
That's really good. That is really good. Okay. So I'm sure that after this dynamic interview, you guys have either a ton of notes or a ton of ideas for the things that you are going to implement. Make sure that you go ahead and drop things in the comments. Let us know in the comments. You guys know you can DM me at everybody can't go, the number 2 on Instagram. You guys can send me DMs on TikTok. You know, I look, I answer, I write y'all back. If you would like to do it, in the comments in public, that's fine. If you want to keep it private, I am the keeper of your secret. So either way, if you have any questions for Aisha, you can also drop those in the comments, and either I or she, we will take a look at those, get back to you. Make sure that you click that link below, order your copy of Getting Serious About Self-Care, so that you're able to take a deeper dive into all of the things that we talked about on today's episode. And also, shameless plug, make sure that if part of your self-care needs to be that you are going to attend the Spring Forward Writers Retreat, because you are just tired of carrying that book around inside of you and you need to get it out and onto the paper and to the publisher so that we can have another book in our hands. Make sure that you click that link below so that you can find out more information about the Spring Forward Writers Retreat hosted by another one of your favorites, Mel T. Y'all are my top 2 favorites around here. Who knew? So make sure that you click those links below, and we'll also have the socials so that you can follow Self Care with Aisha and you will be able to find her on socials. Did you want to say anything else in closing?
Get gas.
And do it tonight. And we will see you guys next Wednesday for another Everybody Can't Go Combo.